Aha! Okay. There we go, I think it worked. Just had to, like, reclose Steam and reopen it, I guess. Oh well, it's working now. Hello. This is gonna be volume 9 of Hiveswap, FriendSim. There we go. Oh. Interesting way. Opening up. Part of you has always been taken with the idea of purchasing a one-way train ticket to anywhere and boarding it without looking back. Or in your current case, stowing away without looking back. Details. The idea has always seemed so idyllic. No strings, no obligations, just you and your journey, the wind in your hair and the taste of freedom on your lips. Your little daydream didn't exactly involve careening across a perilous extraterrestrial landscape, but then you've always liked to think of yourself as the kind of person who's open to new experiences. Not to mention new friends. In practice, though, this tastes less like freedom and more like noxious muck, which is what you're currently surrounded by. Ugh. It's not unlike the slime that was in Skittles' Recupero Room, except that slime was weirdly soothing, and this is prickly and burny and uncomfortable. You thought you were being smart by sneaking on board, jumping into some sort of cargo carriage. Oh, how wrong you've been. The trade-off for not being caught, then maimed and or killed for your blood color is apparently this. You almost would have preferred the maiming. God knows you're used to taking a beating by now. Okay. Cute little cinnamon roll. Or this guy. I'm gonna go with him first, because he looks interesting. Azdaja Knelax. Azdaja. I've decided the way I'm saying his name is Azdaja. Like the J is a Y, because it just, Azdaja just doesn't, yeah. Azdaja Knelax. After what feels like way too long, the vehicle slows down and you take the opportunity to tumble out of your slime jail onto the dusty ground, picking yourself up and hurrying away from the station before you can get spotted. A little while later, you're standing at the beginning of a massive canyon, and your awful train ride almost feels worth it. The canyon stretches on endlessly, miles of yawning chasm and winding ravines at your feet. It's enough to make your mouth hang open in awe. After spending so much time in various grody parts of the city, the sight of such pristine natural beauty touches your heart. You feel somehow inspired, like you could belt out an aria or draw a masterpiece if you tried. But before you can begin exploring your hidden creative depths, you're distracted by noises coming from not too far away. You're not alone. You know what this means. A chance to get yourself more of that sweet, sweet friendship. After so many successful companionship ventures, you're thirsty for more. You pick up your jaw and go investigate. The sound leads you towards a trail along the side of the canyon, which in turn leads you down to a roomy platform not that much lower than where you started. There's a series of sharp outcrops jutting out of the plateau, and perched atop the highest one is a figure dramatically framed against the moonlight. At first you think he's peering moodily into the distance, but then you realize he's looking through some kind of contraption on his face. Recording coordinates. You look around. There doesn't seem to be anyone else here, so what you heard was this fellow muttering to himself, you guess. I see. This music actually sounds really Undertale-y. That's the first thing I can think of. He's so wrapped up in whatever it is that he's doing that he hasn't noticed you yet. This guy has got to be hankering after some company. Being all by his lonesome out here in the middle of nowhere, you're sure of it. Wave up and say hello. No, we're gonna climb up and surprise him. Eagerly, you clamber up the side of the rock. Wow, this drop is pretty intense, but it's nothing you can't handle without plenty of determination and frantic scrambling. You finally make it to the top. You're about to haul yourself up so you can stand, fully ready to introduce yourself and let this guy have it with the geniality. Really show him how amicable you can be. Before you can do that, though, he whirls around, trench coat and long hair whipping in a wide arc. All your clumsy scrabbling at the rock face must have clued him into your presence. Did you really think you could sneak up on me? His eyes flash, literally. They flicker from blue to turquoise and back again in quick succession. Okay, that's gotta be some kind of Undertale reference. You don't notice the pure white energy crackling at his fingertips until you're already in the air. When Cooper lifted you, it was like getting yanked up by the scruff of your shirt. This is smoother somehow, like you just stepped into a strong breeze. Doesn't really change the outcome, though. You eye the ground below you nervously. Think again. Wait, you weren't engaging in any sneaking around, honest, or, well, you were, but you didn't mean anything malicious by it. You were just after some quality hangouts. Unfortunately for you, he doesn't seem very moved by your heartfelt entreaty. A likely story. You were looking to gank my data because I frowned up on the game. Don't try to deny it. You don't know anything about any game, but before you can explain further, you're unceremoniously released. You run through quite the spectrum of emotions as you plunge downward, but the strongest by far is regret. Regret that you'll emerge from this altercation sans the use of your limbs, if you're lucky, but also sans a potential new friend. They're saying words like sans and determination, and the music right now sounds very Undertale-y. I think this might be an Undertale reference. Let's try that again. It might just be me, though. But also the dark blue and the light blue, like, flashing eye thing also sounds like... Yeah. He seems kind of video game themed, so maybe, right? Wave and say hello. Sporting your most winning smile, you call out a greeting and give a jaunty wave. That gets his attention. Well. Will he look what the Purby's dragged in? Are you lost? That depends on your definition of lost. You prefer to think of whatever you're doing as taking the scenic route, just like indefinitely. Your new acquaintance and hopefully soon-to-be pal snorts, unimpressed. It would be better if you did that somewhere else. Better for me, I mean, which is the most important issue currently in hand, let's face it. I still have preparations to make, and I'm running out of time. You're kind of cramping my style here. Preparations. For the game, obviously. It's starting any minute now. You have no idea what he's talking about. Seriously, you don't know about dual strifers? Wow, you're more of an empty-headed plebe than I thought. That's not a very fair thing to say. Sure, you might have made a habit of running headfirst into stupidly dangerous situations, but there's no reason for him to assume. Your voice is drowned out by a crackling sound. He's levitating down from his perch towards you, sparks of energy stirring the sand up into a cloud. After meeting Sarava and Krupim, you've come to expect psionic powers from trolls with yellow blood by now, but it still kind of takes you aback. Oh, he is kind of also Vegeta-ish, isn't he? You stumble backward, falling on your ass. This troll is unbothered by your spill, continuing to address you while you're sprawled on the ground. I'll explain. Dual strivers pits Alternative's best and brightest against each other in a timed event designed to reveal the most skilled among the group. Which would be me, of course. That goes without saying. He tells you a bunch of other stuff about game mechanics that, to be honest, go straight over your head. He's apparently not enough of a rush that he can't stop what he's doing to outline his plans to you, some random passerby, in a fairly detailed manner at that. He seems pleased to have an audience, actually. Wow, this friendship is barely even off the ground and you're already doing great. You get back on your feet and nod along sagely, pretending to understand what all his rambling about strategy and whatnot. And then you notice a blinking light. It's coming from the screen over his eye. Huh. Interesting. My scouter can't retrieve any data on your species at all. He leans forward and looks at you. Really looks at you. Up until this point, he'd been paying more attention to his own voice and whatever readings he's been getting on his device, but now he's focused fully on you. It's actually starting to fluster a little, actually. That is, until his mouth twists into a smirk. You get a glimpse of a single jagged tooth. You know, it's technically possible to join in teams of two. But now you're here. Is he saying what you think he might be saying? Excited that you clarify whether he's asking you to join his game as his partner. Ha! Sure, I just leave it to me with clueless nerds like you. No. You'd be a nice element of surprise, though. I can use you as a collateral resource, fodder, a lackey. What do you say? That doesn't sound nearly as flattering, but it's an opportunity to help, and you've founded so many great friendships on doing whatever favors random strangers have wanted you to do for them already. Why stop now? You'll be the best lackey ever. Screw this. That'll make him upset. You know what? You're better than this. Who does this guy think he is, trying to turn you into his minion? Everyone keeps expecting you to be useless, and you're tired of it. You've accomplished great things, and you say, stamping your feet, kicking up a real hullabaloo. You're a big deal on your home planet. People practically quiver in their boots when you walk past. And even if you weren't a big deal, even if you were the smallest fry around, you're pretty sure you could take whatever he can dish out. He's just a reedy nerd asshole who looks like he fell out of the IT department straight into the discount bin of bad Matrix cosplay cast-offs. You have no idea what you're doing. Absolutely nothing you've said about yourself is true. You're spewing hot air and pure vitriol, running out in the modicum of confidence you've built up, bluffing your way through the variety of mishaps you've encountered before now. You throw up your hands when you're done, both out of exasperation and as a kind of ending flourish to your little speech. There's a deafening rumble behind you. When you turn around, it's just in time to see one of the Octopus shudder dramatically into a pile of detritus. Your eyes go wide. Either the rock was already weakened and chose this moment to break, resulting in the best confidence ever, or you have secret telekinetic powers of your own that you've never known about until now. Whichever it is, it grants your venting session a healthy dose of gravitas. Azdaja looks at you with a complicated expression on his face, like he's mad at you, but also like you've just paid him a really nice compliment. What a brazen proposition. What proposition? If you're propositioning anything, it's for him to consider you an equal rather than some kind of sidekick, that's all. Let me tell you something, alien. I've heard some things through the spherical fruit string about someone else in my line of work who caused quite a stir recently. Alerts have been blowing up, saying a gold-blood girl assassinated a sea dweller. I had reason to suspect she'd show herself here today. I was looking forward to seeing if she's as good as the rumors say she is. A gold-blood girl. That's what the alerts say. But as one of the best mercenaries in the business, I know better. They must have been wearing a disguise. He points a finger at you. You, despite not being of Alternian origin, have a record. You've shown up here to a dueling session in a rumpus robe and nub stilts. He indicates your flowing gown and heels. Which you could easily be another disguise to throw the drones off your scent. And, as you so graciously just demonstrated, you're powerful. You're easily the most suspicious person I've come across here yet. Who's to say that you're not the mysterious killer? You realize that he's floating gradually higher and higher in the air as he's talking to you, until he's hovering over you almost predatorily. Shit, what have you done? If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get. His eyes light up and the bright blue beam explodes the rock next to you. You turn tail and run, but he follows, trailing along behind you like some kind of angry helium balloon. He doesn't stop shooting at you, and you can feel the lasers rush past you, rustling your hair and clothes as they cut through the air. Gosh, he's powerful. It takes your breath away. You'd be in awe if you weren't busy running for your life. You almost wish he had some sort of device that would measure just how powerful he is. Except, no, not really. On second thought, knowing his exact power level would probably be so frustrating that you'd immediately break whatever device that would call for with your bare hands. As strong as he is, though, you can't help but notice that none of his shots are at all close to hitting you. It's more like he's trying to intimidate you, provoke you into fighting back. You have to get away from him as quickly as possible before any of his blasts actually connect. Before you know it, your scurrying feet have taken you back where you started, this train station. Would you keep running around like a cluck beast with a severed think pan? You came on to me, and now you won't follow through? Get back here and fight. You seem to have simultaneously managed to both pick a fight and hit on him simultaneously. Maybe he thinks you want that hate man spades thing with him? God. You just wanted to be friends, and then you might have lost your temper a little. This is all just a big misunderstanding. He isn't listening to you. Another blast zips past you, dangerously close to your ear this time. You scan the area frantically for cover. There, a structure near the tracks that looks like it might be some kind of mechanized ticket booth. You dive behind it. I'm growing impatient, alien. Cease this game of hunt and sequester and face me. A beam hits your makeshift shield, blowing a hole straight through it. You stumble backwards, close to the tracks. Oh no. Oh fuck. This is it. You're going to be murdered in cold blood by a guy who can shoot pure energy out of his eyes, and there's nothing you can do about it. You squeeze your eyes shut, bracing for impact. All of a sudden, there's a distant rushing sound. With all the running and laser dodging, you've forgotten what the station was even for in the first place. The train is arriving. Maybe someone on it will be willing to help you? Not like Alternians seem to have a good track record of helping folk in need out of the goodness of their hearts, but damn it, it's the only chance you've got. Azdaja is distracted by the train's arrival for only a moment before turning towards you again, but then a figure climbs out of one of the train carriages, a figure that's large and hulking and one that you recognize. Azdaja? What the hell are you doing? Why are you attacking my friend? Friend? You know this globe is for Sponge? Why didn't you tell me? They're the assassin I've been looking for. What? You idiot. They're no assassin. When I met them, they freaked out over a little blood. They've never even killed before. What? What about their powers? Little squints at you, like she's thinking very hard about what your more exceptional qualities might be. Well, they're pretty good at falling on their ass, and freaking out in the middle of a crisis, and being squishable. Azdaja's expression goes cold. His eyes stop flashing, but he still looks like he could kill you with his glare alone. I see. So that's why you're running away. You were lying. What an immature ruse. You can't help but feel a little bad for pulling the wool over his eyes, even though you were fearing for your life until just a few seconds ago. Azdaja seems to trust Conal's words implicitly, and now that you've been exposed as nothing but a regular Joe, he seems to have lost all interest in you. Conal was beginning to think you skipped out on this event. Of course not. I missed the Omniscuttle caravan. And the desert has shitty reception, so I couldn't call. You know that. That's right. Well, I'm glad you made it. I've let myself get distracted by this peon for long enough. Let's go strike some losers, own their nooks in battle, and profit. Fuck yes. I'd love to stay and chat, kid, but there's a bunch of culls in that canyon, with my name all over them. Later. The way he just goes off, that's funny. You watch wistfully as they set off back towards the canyon. If only you hadn't lost your temper and lied out of your ass like an idiot, you might have been walking along with them. Nope. Don't drop the laptop. Instead, you're here alone on the ground, new friendship having slipped through your fingers like all this desert sand. All alone. Okay. Now we'll get the good end, for sure, right? Right. And skippity skip. And now will be the best lackey ever. The title might not be much, but that doesn't mean you can't excel at it. You tell him you accept his offer. Haha, excellent. By the way, I'm Azdaja Knelax, but you must have known that already. You're not sure why you would. Maybe some kind of big shot? Come to think of it, the name does ring a bell. You've heard it before, when you were in the middle of infiltrating a bandit hideout with a mercenary, Conal. You met my mate spirit? You must have gotten on her good side, or you wouldn't be standing here talking to me. Because you'd be minced into the ground finer than grub paste. He's grinning like he's really proud and fond about Conal being the sort of girl who'd make mincemeat out of someone as soon as speak to them. If he wasn't talking about her literally murdering you, you might find this reaction endearing. Hang on, if he already has a partner, why isn't she here? Azdaja expression showers abruptly. My partner isn't here because she didn't make our agreed-upon rendezvous time. He says the word partner in an overdone, exasperated huff, as if he thinks she might be listening from behind a boulder somewhere and he can somehow shame her into appearing. You remember what Pullipa said about mercenary duos often being quadrant pairs, romantically involved? Does girlfriend stand him up? Yikes. Maybe it's better that you hadn't been promoted to partner status if it meant getting involved in another couple spat. You've had quite enough of that already. You hope they aren't fighting. Azdaja glares at you. The exact nature of her quadrant is none of your business, frankly. Now come on. We're wasting time. I mean, you're the one who outright said matesprit, so. He steps off the edge of the plateau, descending into a crackle of energy and floating you into the canyon along with him. It's a terrifying ride, but the view it affords is pretty amazing. Soon you reach the bottom. We should keep going. If there's someone else in this valley, we'll just get the drop on them if we move fast. He grins confidently, his coat flapping behind him. There isn't any wind down here, though. Is he flapping his own coat with his sigh for the dramatic effect? Heh, first blood to Knelax. You blink tentatively. You repeat, blood? Yes, blood. He says it the same way he enunciated the name of this competition earlier, like it should have been painfully obvious. Like I told you, our aim is to take out our opposition. Swiftly and painfully. To win, we have to be the last team standing in this entire canyon. Weren't you listening to what I explained earlier? Goddammit, you've been proceeding under the assumption that this was some kind of elaborate competitive LARP, like solve some puzzles, get out of the giant canyon before the other guy type of deal. Perhaps arm wrestle your competitors into submission if you run into them, but no, this game involves actual violence. You probably shouldn't be surprised. You've been on Alternia long enough to discern that, boys, trolls sure do love killing. You've made friends with plenty of trolls who have less bloodthirsty hobbies, though. You ask him whether he's ever considered getting into excessive bodily force poetry or streaming sick beats. Please, you're kidding, right? Now is no time for joking around. Don't tell me you're already getting frosty strep pods. I can't work with someone with such a flimsy sense of conviction. You reassure him that, no, of course not, your strep pods are as toasty as all heck, but he's no longer paying attention to you, his scatter glints. There. He flashes past you before he can blink, riding the waves of his sigh into a collection of rocks sitting behind you. Target acquired. Nice try, I think you could outsmart me by laying in the weight and launching on that ambush. Cowardly move, and sloppy. Very sloppy. Now prepare to get owned. Resistance is futile. Oh, fuck. Abruptly, Azdaja freezes. You hesitate, unsure as to what sort of threat you're dealing with here, but then a troll girl with a cerulean blue symbol on her shirt pops up from behind the rocks. She giggles menacingly, making Azdaja turn towards you. His expression is blank. His nifty brain power is now under your competitor's control. To echo Azdaja's sentiment, oh fuck. You need to do something fast. You have the harebrained thought that maybe you can grab Azdaja and physically wrest him from her control. You launch yourself towards them in a mad dash, attempting to call out a chilling battle cry, but it all comes up more of a pathetically broken yell. The girl laughs again. Azdaja's eyes flash brighter than you've seen so far, almost blinding. Oh hell, those are straight up eye lasers, aren't they? They're really powerful. Holy shit. You've met some strong trolls, but this is kind of power is something else. If Azdaja were a character in a video game, and you were to assign him a quantifiable number to measure his power, some kind of level perhaps, that number would be. Well, it would be very high is what all you're saying. Azdaja's lasers shoot at a point above you, scoring a deep gash in the rock and sending rubble toppling downwards. You reach out, grabbing at Azdaja's coat. You have to get out of here. So something maybe I should mention here too is that his sign is Gemra, the sign of the pilot. He's also a mind player and a prospect dreamer. So I definitely see like hints of mind here. He's really like overconfident, like mentally, he's smart. He's like the kind of a stereotypical mind player, that kind of thing. His class seems to be one of like sort of like nonchalant confidence kind of thing though. I'm waiting to see more things from it. I don't want to say thief because, like, just showing any signs of confidence would be like, oh, you're a thief. No, that's not really the case. But I'm trying to get a bit more of an angle on him for now. But I just thought I'd mention he's a hero of mind, and I can see where the mindy stuff is coming in. The girl doesn't stop you, merely leaping out of the way of the certain doom that's hurtling rapidly towards you. You think you see something out of the corner of your eye, some last-ditch hope at not getting squashed as flat as a grub cake. You race towards it. Your first thought as you finally open your eyes is that death has finally come to tenderly cradle you in its sweet, loving embrace. But you quickly realize that you're in a cave, not the afterlife, and the reason you can even see anything right now is because the area around you is brightened by a light coming from Azdaja's scouter. Through sheer dumb luck, you must have run towards the single safe spot in the entire ravine, this hole in the ground, as if this hole was sitting here, carved out of the rock, waiting to be your escape route. You might even say this hole was made for you. Fuck. You wince, covering your ears. Could you keep it down, maybe? Your nerves are a little shot from almost dying for the umpteenth time this week. No, I will not keep it down. Curses, I can't believe this. Who does that blue blood think she is? Does she realize who she just messed with? Ah, he looks really mad. Instinctively, you reach out to execute that slow face pat that trolls seem to find so soothing, but he slaps your hand away. What do you think you're doing? I already told you I have a Morio. You stammer out an apology. It just seemed like the right thing to do. Plus, you thought Kono was his mate spirit? He seems to realize what he just said. A hint of yellow touches his cheeks, just barely visible in the light. That's what I said. I already have a mate spirit. You're pretty sure you heard him right the first time, and you're also pretty sure those are two different sorts of relationships, but you let the subject drop. No need to rile up your new friend more than he already is. You shush Pap might have been rejected, but the attempt seems to have snapped him out of whatever pissed-off funk he's gotten himself into. Let's get out of here. Could this be the rare scenario of, like, someone who's in, like, a mate spirit relationship but actually wants to be in the pale relationship? We've definitely seen the other way around happen before, where it's like they're pale but they want to be red. But this is kind of neat. It kind of implies that he wants to be a Morale. He follows the path out of the cave. Can't he just blast you both out? Don't be stupid. If I did that, it would cause a cave-in. Are you that eager to get crushed? Good point. You're acting just like Kono. So ready to rush in without a game plan. If he means this as an insult, its effect is kind of lost. He sounds more wistful than irritated. You walk in silence for a while. As you make your way further into the cave, you realize that the walls aren't blank like you previously thought, but covered in complicated carvings. Cave troll art, you wonder? I know what you're thinking. That life as a prince among trolls must be an enviable one. See, he has been called a prince, though, too, and he does have, like, great destructive power. I can put that down as a possibility because it seems to be hinted at in the thing itself, just like with Remley as a thief. You snap to attention. Yes, of course. You were definitely thinking about him and his life story just then. I don't expect someone like you to understand. You're obviously a completely average person who will live out their life in perfect mediocrity. But not me. You don't know what it's like to be born so gifted. Completely average. That's you, alright. You try your best to be sympathetic. Having rad powers must make things really hard. As for the, pale feelings about wanting to be romantic, there is Aridin and Feferi, but there was also Kanaya and Vriska at the very beginning, where, like, Kanaya was actually, like, really, romantically interested in Vriska, like, red-wise, but, like, always kept getting stuck into, like, a pale role, and, like, she actually talked to Aridin about it at some point, which is really funny. Okay, never mind. Yep. What? No way, it's fucking awesome. But as you've clearly seen, it can attract unwanted attention from pathetic individuals who aren't nearly as talented themselves, who are desperate to have some unbeatable psionics in their corner. To be honest, the Empire is no different. It's not like the rebels are much better. Conal and I don't really care one way or the other. We're just here to go off chumps and get money. We look out for ourselves first and foremost. So, here's the thing. He has been specifically called a prince, but that doesn't really mean anything because other characters have been called things before. It's just... He's definitely... I can go with the destruction thing, for sure. However, he does seem very self-centered for a mind player. And he does seem kind of prone to, like, going out of control, similar to how, like, a passive destruction player would be, like a bard. So I can trying to see a bit more, like... I don't think he sees himself as higher than higher-blooded trolls. I don't think that's quite the angle. It's just he has a very high self-esteem. Like, he did seem, like, noticeably terrified about the blue blood happening. That could just been because he knows, like, the powers and everything, but, like, he did see that kind of thing. And despite him being, like, the brains of the operation between him and Kono, I don't see him as a I don't see him as a, what's the word? Major or seer. He's not actually, like, that kind of smart, because he wouldn't have fallen for, like, that blue blood thing so quickly if that was the case. So he's not seer or mage, despite him being, like, brains. I think that more ties into his aspect being mind itself. That whole, like, confidence thing, like, it's not a thief, though. It's a different kind. It could be that he's more of, like, a self-centered type of prince. We'll see. Okay. We're just going here off chumps and get money. We look out for ourselves first and foremost. But eventually we'll be sent off planet to do the bidding of the Empress, just like everyone else. Okay, you can see why having no say in the matter kind of sucks, but isn't there opportunity to do cool shit in space, too? Azdaja's face draws up a wry expression. Yeah, with someone else calling all the shots. You can keep walking. After what feels like hours, his scouter flashes again. He definitely likes to be in control. Very much likes to be in control. He could be a witch. That would explain, like, the sort of, like... Witches do have a kind of, like, off-brand confidence, like, just water off a duck's back kind of thing for, like, no matter what happens to them, which is kind of like how he seems to be. It's kind of different than that thief's kind of confidence, which has, like... A thief's confidence is usually grounded in some kind of insecurity, which fuels it, but a witch is more like just... Yeah, whatever, I'm cool. Because they're, like, companion to the air class also is also that kind of, like, drifting, like, yeah, whatever, man, just whatever happens, I'm cool. But the witch is like that, but, like, more energetic, kind of. We'll see. We're here. He lets the wall have it with his eye lasers. With a resounding roar, it crumbles away. Aside from the spot he destroyed, the rest of the cave is intact. Moonlight spills into the space through the impromptu exit. It's over. We were stuck down there for so long that the game has ended. Meaning, your heart sinks. This was a disaster. He's definitely not going to be your friend after losing this competition he's so invested in. We're the last team standing, which makes us the winners. I knew it! That blue-blood loser might have a stroke of good luck, but she was no match for someone of my station. My victory was a foregone conclusion from the start. Well, maybe he does see himself as better than others, even regardless of blood caste. Bringing you along was an excellent idea. Your recklessness really came in handy back there. He's thanking you realize, or something close to it. Modestly, you assure him that there was no problem. A prince knows when to give credit when credit is due. Celebration is in order, I think. Once we collect our prize. There's a prize? Fuck yes. Dual Strikers offers an impressive cash reward to whoever wins. You'll get a cut as well, of course. Whoa, money! This is the first time you've laid your hands on this stuff since you crash-landed. Maybe you'll finally be able to purchase a warm meal or clothing that isn't from somebody else's closet. More important than the money, though, is that you've proven you aren't a complete fuck-up. You've earned Azdaja's trust and also his friendship. Victory. See, okay. For Classpect thoughts now. Saying he's a prince kind of feels almost too obvious. Like, it feels like the surface reading of his character. Like, he's called a prince 3 times. He keeps going on about his power level, how he's super destructive and all that, blah, blah, blah. It just seems kind of too on the nose. So I don't know about calling him a prince. Other things about his character maybe slightly go more into, like, a witch kind of direction. And that would also, like, make sense with how he has, like... But him being a prince also, if he's ghosting his own, like, opposite aspect, he would ghost Heart quite a bit, so I guess maybe he is a prince. But I don't know. I feel like there's a bit more you could read into him. I guess maybe they want to, like, shove his Classpect in everybody's face and make it, like, super really obvious, like he couldn't be anything else, so, like, it's perfectly valid to go with that. I just want a bit more substance to the reason why before, like, choosing that. Like, something about, like, his powers, not even his powers, but, like, his personality, his character traits, like, that kind of thing, because so far, like, doesn't quite line up with, like, the previous idea so far, like, we have a princess, like, you could say, like, yeah, I don't know anything about Dragon Ball either, so I don't know about Vegeta's. He does have a scatter and a power level and all that, blah, 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 so I guess that's the joke. Hold on one second, I'm actually gonna pull up my, Homestuck notes on the computer. I'm gonna look up, just sort of re-go over the things I've talked about princes, because, like, a main calling card that I know of princes is that they're kind of, like, they can tend to be sort of, like, unconfident, because they struggle to, like, not get themselves caught up in their own path of destruction. So they can be really powerful and they can be really confident, but if they trip and fall, they fall hard. Usually they're, like, stubborn, pessimistic people that stop at nothing to reach their goals, challenged not to destroy themselves along their destructive path. He does seem kind of, like, pretty stubborn, and I don't know about pessimistic, he seems more optimistic, but he does seem like the kind of person to stop at nothing to reach his goals. So, I mean, he could just be more of a positive prince than we've seen, like, similar to the lines of Kurlos, who didn't really seem, Kurlos as a Prince of Rage didn't really seem all that, like, unconfident or that kind of thing. He did go with the violence and, like, that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, in Dragon Ball, Vegeta is also the prince of the whatever people, so but again, that seems just, like, too on the nose. It's like, sure, he can be a prince of mind, but also, like, if he's a prince of mind just because someone called him a prince of mind, it feels like really lack of substancy, so I don't know. I suppose you could spin it as, like, he does seem to be ghosting Heart a bit, he does seem, like, pretty, like, unstoppably, like, stubborn and, like, wanting to, like, rush through towards his goals. I don't know. I'll go with Prince. Yeah. I'll go with it because it's probably the correct one, and it's probably the intention of the writer that had in mind when they were creating them. I guess I just wanted there to be a little bit more. I guess I wouldn't really get tons out of these games anyway. I remember I didn't get a lot of the follicle route because it was, like, focused on the two of them and their relationship rather than themselves, so I didn't get a ton of reading on them. So I guess this is just one of those, like, one you didn't get really a ton of reading of, but Prince of Mind is probably the most accurate one, the intended one. And there we go. Okay. So now I'm going to do the other route with the other tool, which I know isn't the tiny little blue tool. It's the big purple one. Chahut. I got that bit of spoiler. Yeah. It's not her. It's your best friend. Your gown flutters around you as you hop off the train. You feel like a very grimy Disney princess with no shoes, just like a deranged Cinderella who left both glass slippers on the castle steps. Before you can decide in which direction to continue your merry jaunt, it's decided for you. As in, a small bluish missile slams into your midsection and sends you tumbling down the hill behind the train tracks, rolling over and over, and goddamn do you hope you don't kill anyone with your ass, especially not yourself. You land with a hard thwack on your back. Hey, it is you! The concussion you've just sustained must be giving you serious friend hallucinations. Sorry I hugged you so hard I pushed you down a hill. I forgot how weak and flimsy you are. You take Amicia's offered hand, albeit nervously. You kind of skipped out on her back there, waiting until she was in the ablution trap and then escaping from her murder studio. You've been so naive back then. You didn't know about the reciprocans and replicates or hate dating. And oh god, that's a giant murder clown, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. This music. She's even bigger than the adult you saw at the bandit lair. God, why? Oh, that's an interesting piece of lore. So child trolls can potentially be bigger than adult trolls of a different caste. I guess purples are just friggin' huge. God, why whenever you think you met the biggest, meanest bastard this place has to offer, it offers up another bigger, meaner one? Without thinking, you put yourself between Amicia and the purple blood. Pretty dumb considering Amicia can just pick you up with one hand, but you just rolled down a hill and you aren't at peak performance. Chahut! It's about time! This is the one I was telling you about! The one with the precious, precious blood. Oh dear. The purple blood's slow, lazy smile somehow makes her face paint more terrifying. She moseys closer, towering over you. A true pleasure, small thing. Any friend of Little Blue is a friend of mine. God damn, she has enormous tits. Especially one who'd look so pretty on the newest page of my scrapbook. Your stomach is dissolving into acid fear. Amicia stamps her foot. Don't make murder jokes. My friend is very delicate. You nod furiously. You are so delicate, just a whiff of murder gives you the vapors. Peace and gospel, Little Blue. I was only playing. Messiahs know I'm owed a bit of fun. And ain't it a fair bit hypocritical, lecturing me, considering what you were getting up to the first time you and I got to John? Ripping off heads and all. Amicia goes blue. Chahut winks and you experience another spasm of fear. You clench your fist so you can't even see your hands are shaking. To distract yourself, you ask her if she and Amicia are Morales. You figure that's always the safest one to start with. Safer than so do you guys hate fuck a lot. Chahut starts grinning again and Amicia blushes even harder. No, silly, of course not. I'm way too young for quadrants. So she is like a really young blue blood. I figured. But they have like I guess they do have an established like line of not crossing of like, hey, you trolls like a certain age can be too young for quadrants. So far they hadn't really established that, so that's good to know. No, a couple of motherfuckers has started younger than you, Little Blue. Still, there's no point. I mean, you're leaving in a couple paragrees. Amicia stares at the ground sadly for a few seconds before she gets herself back together. But that's why tonight is going to be the best. Our final hunt. And I'm so glad you're here too. She beams up at you. You try to smile back, maybe achieving half a grimace. When Chahut leans over Amicia, it's with a certain menacing fondness. Sounds like a party, my most vicious sister. Only, we got us a smidge of scheduling conflict. The massacre's tonight, Little Blue. Last massacre I'll see planetside. Gotta present my glutes and testify before my most mirthful messiahs for the last time. You sure didn't get any of that. Every time you think about your days of unbounded ignorance are behind you, you turn over a stone to find more little squirming bits of cultural miasma to suck in. Yeah, oh yeah, by the way, she is a Hope player, because her sign was Caprinius, the sign of the credulous. Hope and Prospect. Okay. Amicia rolls her eyes. More church. That's seriously all you ever do. Sister, we talked about this. To praise the mirthful ones is a privilege and a revelation. Mampusha beats for them. It smashes its way through the desolate cage of my thoracic struts. Yeah, I know. You love clown church. You love it so much you should just put it in a quadrant. Jesus, Amicia, maybe don't shout at the scary giant clown lady. Chahut puts a giant hand on Amicia's head, ruffling her hair like she's an angry puppy. Simmer it down, girl. Good news is, we got us a tiebreaker. She means you, doesn't she? More decisions. Usually we strive for it, but today, it's all up to you, stranger. Take me to clown church. Take me to clown church. You don't know much about religion, but you have recently become pretty good at reading people. You have the slightest little suspicion that insulting this woman's religion might be unhealthy. Besides, it would be rude. This time when Chahut turns a painted face to you and gives you another of those lazy smiles, you're filled with a sudden flush of excitement. God, what if you could become friends with her? You've never had a friend this cool or this scary. Amicia rolls her eyes. Fine. Have fun, I guess. Doing totally boring stuff. You wonder if it's really okay for you to come with Chahut. Isn't she worried about showing up with an alien? In the past, I might have got to worrying over it. But now, fuck it. What are they about to do? Call me? Might thank him for that. Doing a sister a solid and saving me from having to set foot in that filthy riches of space. When I hear they don't allow the good word as close as they should, none of the motherfuckers here have the globes to step to me. So you should be safe. With me on your side, not even one of these slippery fishes would do shit. Slippery fishes? Does she mean sea dwellers? You've never actually seen one, which makes sense since they dwell in the sea, but most people seem to be scared of them. You wonder how much higher in caste they are from the clowns. You wonder what they look like. There are still so many things you don't know. You've never been in a church before, but you've seen them in movies and goth music videos, so you know what to expect. Clown church is not that. There's no pews or statues or a sad dude hanging from the perpendicular sticks, but there's an altar and a lot of purple candles and rows of flimsy metal fold-out chairs. The same sugary smell that hangs around Chahut fills the place. Someone took stained glass a little too seriously when they decorated, because every inch of window is covered in multicolored God, why even front of anymore? Every inch is covered in blood. Splatter of it and paint the floor and stone walls. It reminds you of the break room after Connell got done murdering all those kids, except this seems deliberate. Yeah. Like they've decided they want a little bit of yellow in the corner, so they walked some poor gold bullet over and gutted them. Welcome to your salvation, little one. You almost run out, but no, you can't. You need to make friends with Chahut. You hang on to that as you follow her to the front of the congregation. As you pass various other clowns and send out honks of greetings, accompanied by the occasional whoop whoop, Chahut responds to a couple with a casual hey, motherfuckers, but most she ignores. Maybe she's too cool for them? You try to make eye contact with anyone as you go by, or if you happen to look at anyone, you try to throw out the most intense I'm with her vibes that you can. A couple trolls look out of place as you do. Okay, not out of the place since they're actually from this planet, but there's some non-purple guys here who look distinctly uncomfortable. A few of them appear to be chained to their chairs. Cool. A purple blood is standing on the platform at the front of the congregation and preaching? Rapping? Whatever it is, it sucks. There's a lot of uninventive swearing and weirdly syncopated honks. Everyone here is extremely into it. There's a lot of answering whoops and fuck yes. All Chahut has to do is stand there and smirk at him, and he trails off into a nasally honk before scrambling off the church stage. You really wish you knew how to command that kind of respect, then everybody would want to be your friend. Thanks, brothers and sisters. Today is a singular sort of day. For today I looked up toward the mountain and saw the fire in the sky. That fire is our messiahs, and our messiahs are the fire, feeding a hungry forge in the belly of hell, that sweet salvation of split bone and sulphur-covered eyes. Was it the heat of eternal damnation, or the sweet flame of revelation? All is red ruin. Woe is us, darlings. Woe. It goes on like that for a while. You zone out a little bit. Someone throws a handful of powder into the candle flame, and more of that sugary sharp scent puffs out as the colorful smoke billows up. The purple blood all start taking deep whiffs of the stuff. It kind of looks like the powder in pixie sticks. Newest member of our congregation. Pixie sticks. Maybe that's why it smells like sugar in here. Invite them to stand up and give glorious thanks. The whole congregation has gone silent. You realize that Chahut is looking at you, and the other clown priest is looking at you. Actually, every single goddamn troll in here is looking at you. Except for the one small dude who appears to be trying to chew off his own hand to free himself of a shackle. Your turn to testify. Don't fuck this up, little one. Preach! Oh shit. They want you to talk? About what? All that stuff Chahut and the other troll were saying, it just sounded like a bunch of bullshit? So that's what you give them. Just bullshit. Reams and reams of fresh, non-GMO, cave-aged bullshit. Honestly, you aren't totally sure what you say. Maybe some stuff about parting the sea, loaves and fishes, a dome and a rock. You throw a couple of whoop-whoops in there for effect, hoping nobody accuses you of cultural appropriation. Luckily, the crowd is feeling it. They all honk and echo what you say, even the cultural allusions they can't possibly understand. They take turns swigging Fagro from a communal chalice, passing it around. You can't help glancing over at Chahut every so often. Sure, all these weirdos are catching what you're throwing, but she's the one whose opinion you actually care about. She's your current friendship target. She's nodding approval, occasionally crossing her hands over her chest, and what looks like a kind of like a gang symbol, but may just be a religious gesture. You finish with something about foxes and the jaws of the universe, the convergence of fate and the cyclical nature of reality. Time is a flat circle. You think you're actually filled with the spirit? Whatever the fuck that means. It could just be the weird smoke. Knew I didn't make a mistake when I put my faith in you, little one. She pushes several dudes out of the way to lean over to you, and you don't feel fear so much as intense pride. Damn, but it feels good to have 50 clowns honking at you for pulling something straight out of your ass. Little one is kind of creepy, and you wish you'd stop saying it, but you guess it's accurate. You are little compared to her. There is only one of you. Come here, darling. Oh, that's an upgrade, darling. That's friendly. Get up here. Up? How? Two younger purple bloods grab you by the legs. Oh. The church sways around you, and you find yourself at clown height, face to face with Chahut. Up close you can see the cracks in her makeup, and it might be the light in here, but her yellow eyes look tinted purple. She pulls you close, one giant claw tipping your chin up. She's so close, she leans in, and your whole body flashes hot. Oh god, this. You brace for those big clown lips. Instead, Chahut clamps her hand over your mouth. You jerk as your air supply is promptly cut off. The clowns holding you up stagger until you remember that you can breathe through your nose. You see something out of your peripheral vision, and then something sticky and cold is sprayed onto your cheek, an acrid stench making you choke. You struggle, but the clowns don't let you go. Chahut sprays something on the other side of your face. You feel it sinking tacky and stinging into the skin of your cheeks. She releases you for a moment and switches the can of spray paint to her other hand. What the hell? Is that even supposed to be used on skin? Probably not. Hold still, darling. She takes another can from a nearby troll and paints a line across your forehead, her own brow furrowing in concentration. You know what she's doing. She's baptizing you, covering you in the paint of her people. You are being initiated. You can hardly believe it. Tears threaten at the corner of your eyes as you realize you're actually becoming part of the group. Someone on this terrible planet is actually letting you into their inner circle. Even if it is a circle of shitty clowns who go around murdering people and drinking the worst soda in the galaxy. Don't get overcome now, small thing. I don't really know what you are or where something like you came from, but I can feel the spirit flowing through those alien veins of yours. It's fucking godly, my little one. Amazing, this is so good. Anyone who initiates you into their weird cult definitely wants to get all up in your friendship grill. Chahut paints another line, this time over your nose. The paint is starting to sting. The paint on your forehead especially. Oh wait, that's not paint, that's... Chahut drops the spray can. She's looking at her fingers. Oh no, you've seen that expression before. On someone bluer and much shorter. Deep crimson claws off her claw. After weeks of rainbow blood, your own blood color looks strange to you, now that you think about it. It's been a while since you've seen your own blood. Ha! Wild! You must be getting better survival instincts. Precious blood. Precious indeed, sister. The two other purple buds put you down with subservient honks. All the other clowns here treat Chahut with a reverence bordering on awe. Is it because she's the oldest, or the largest, or maybe just the most badass? Your feet barely hit the floor before Chahut takes you by the hand. You smile up at her, happy to go anywhere she leads. Friendship feels so good, especially with people who are bigger and stronger and cooler than you are, which is basically everyone on this planet, but Chahut is especially strong and cool. You're so busy feeling great about your new elite status that at first you don't realize what's happening, where Chahut is leading you. It's to a corner of the church that is a little more bare than other spots. As in, there isn't much fresh blood, as in, it's the perfect canvas for some fresh blood. Some precious, precious mutant blood. You don't know why Chahut didn't go for you right when you met. Maybe the time wasn't right. Maybe the sight of your red stuff has triggered something in her murder troll hindbrain. Regardless, you get the feeling you're about to be reunited with the color of your blood quite suddenly and thoroughly. Wait, you thought you were getting initiated. Hell yeah. You're an initiate, my dazzling crimson darling. An initiate of the rarest and most laudable power. A blood initiate. A sacrificial beast. You ain't get a better offer than that. Well, when she puts it like that. Nope, you would still rather not die. Oh dear. I think I just got murdered. Whoops. I think what might have happened with the whole suddenly dripping red, I think because he kept referencing how the paint was stinging and how it's not supposed to be used on skin, I think it was just burning into him and making him bleed. Oh, someone has a question. That reminds me, I wanted to ask, how do you feel about the ancestor-style names attached to each sign and how they apply to the characters with them? I think it's pretty neat. I think that's what it's intended to be, like, the person with that sign who had the most, like, infamy, whatever their title was, gets attached to that sign. So, like, Azdaja Knelax is Gemra. Whoever last had the Gemra sign apparently was a really famous pilot, so they just stuck pilot onto that. Same for Chahut. That kind of thing. I think that's all it is. It's just, like, an ancestor title. Or maybe one that they're meant to, like, grow up and emulate, or, like... But again, that's essentially the same thing as an ancestor title, because that's what you're supposed to do with an ancestor anyway. Sort of look up to them and try to emulate them in troll culture, so... it is probably just an ancestor title. I know it doesn't fit the like 8-letter like theme that a lot of them do, but I think that's just like the theme for like the special 12. It's just those ones were 8 letters. The condescension isn't 8 letters, but the condes is, so there's a bit of like wiggle room with that. It seemed like the good ending for so long, right? Didn't it? Didn't it? Okay. She is definitely like drinking the hope Kool-Aid though. She's definitely delusional, part of the hope aspect for sure. We'll see how that ties into her, like, what her class is, but, oh yeah, with the ones in the Homestuck, the ancestor titles, the way they're, like, officially written, they're all each 8 characters. Like, I think the, expatriate, something like that, like, Equus is one, I forget what it's called, but it uses, like, the, like, actual, like, percent sign, the cross thing. And then the psionic uses, like, that letter for, like, the SII, I think. Or the PSI, like, there's a weird letter it uses. Oh! Now it shows us Chahut. That's neat. Okay. So was there any other choices after Take Me to Clown Church, or was that all just Take Me to Clown Church? I think that was all. Darkleer. Yeah, Darkleer was one, but then he gets, like, another title after he gets, like, what's it called? I forget. I'll look them up later. Equus' one technically gets, like, one before and then one after his, like, supposed betrayal, that kind of thing. Which sucks. Either preach or wimp out. Oh, right, there was one. Okay, well, I'll do this one first. Religion stuff is kind of over your head. Besides, you really should stick with the friend who has a vested interest in keeping you alive, rather than the menacingly non-committal clown lady. All of your recent experience with Purple Bloods have been, well, bad. You are so right. See, Chahut, my friend is no dummy. Chahut eyes gleam, and for one eerie moment you think she's going to yank down and crush Amicia's skull, or yank out her windpipe, or some other mega violence, but instead she just shrugs her giant shoulders. Well, that's what happens when you allow for the democratic process. Lead the way. Crap, she's right. If you aren't going to church, you're going on a final hunt, and knowing Amicia, you aren't going to be duck hunting. Also, you don't think the splatters on Chahut's paints are paint? Well, they are paint, but Amicia-style paint. Yay, come on, quick! I got something to show you. She takes up off the steep hill back towards the train tracks. Oh man, you are seriously not dressed for all this clambering. Chahut appears to know this too, because a few steps later, your feet leave the ground, and you find yourself cradled up to the considerable bosom of a large clown. Up close, she smells like sugar and blood. No struggling now, sweet thing. Better pray that I don't drop you. Oh, I forgot. You don't pray, because church sucks. You don't like this. Well, you like not having to walk, and it's pretty cool that she can lift you like you're a tiny baby, but also you're probably going to die. You're so busy freaking the fuck out that at first you don't realize that Chahut has carried you past the train tracks to a stand of trees. Oh. Oh no. Ta-da! Amicia gestures like she's a presenter on a game show, but instead of showing you a new dope car, she points to a boy hanging from a rope by his feet, swinging back and forth as he desperately tries to free himself. Chahut, you were so right! Using traps is a total time saver. I'm all about those life hacks. And all the kinds of hacks. Haha. She lifts her axe. The troll hanging from the tree screams, and that scream becomes a gurgle, which becomes ringing silence as his head leaves his body, spewing brown blood. It rolls to stop right at your feet. Oh god. Have you had enough of this horseshit? Why can't anyone on this goddamn planet find an ounce of chill? Amicia and Chahut watch you expectantly. Like, what, do they want you to kick the head like this is sports? Give it a smooch? You know what? Fuck this. You turn and stalk off into the woods. This time you are orchestrating your own failure. So done with all this murder. She does seem pretty chill even when she is murdering, though, which is, like, very different from, like, Kurlos and Gamzee, who, like, when they're getting all in and on their rage, they're like, ah! And, like, freak out and everything. She's really chill even when she's murdering. Okay. So take me to church. and wimp out. You stand there in the cacophony of honks and whoops, trying to dredge up a little spirit inside of you, but you can't. All that noise sounds so much like jeering, and you think you'd have gotten used to negative reinforcement, but apparently it's still enough to trip you up. You open your mouth and all that comes out is a croak, like you're a frog of failure. Chahut Big's hand lands on your shoulder. She looks wistful through the clown paint. That's okay, hon. Sit down before you strain something. Encased in a fugue of shame, you do. God, why couldn't you have kept it together for once in your pathetic life? The clown next to you gives you a consoling pat on the knee and offers you a half-empty bottle of Faygo. You were so despondent that you barely cast the thought to the juggalo germs or the fact that Faygo is disgusting. It hits your taste buds like a bitch slap. Around you the congregation is getting rowdier. The troll beside you shrugs his shoulder like, what can you do? He has a hat and a charming smile. At least, you think he does. You're starting to feel a little weird. Faygo is an alcoholic, is it? I would go easy on that stuff if I were you, the troll says. His hand hasn't left your leg. In fact, it's moved from your knee to your thigh. The first time is always rough. Whatever, you're fine. You know all about controlled substances. You're really good at drugs, okay? You're a serious drugger. Druggist? For real, though, what is in this stuff? You got high with Strava and tipsy with Chixie. How that rhymes, she should put that in her next rap. But this is different. This is your brain blowing wide open and the atmosphere pouring in. This is the cosmos kissing your frontal lobe with way too much tongue. Hey, this is my supplicant. Maybe find your own. Chahut is standing next to you again. She removes the clown guy's hand from your thigh and extricates the bottle from your grip. Hey, you weren't done with that. On the other hand of the church, someone throws another handful of colorful powder into the fire. More smoke billows up, and you feel another wave of dizziness. Maybe it's the interaction of the Faygo and the smoke. Is that how science works? Such bad form, says the troll, giving you the Faygo. Bringing an alien to your last massacre? One would think you had no respect for your size at all. I think, brothers and sisters, that I might agree with that. A voice rings out across the church. At first you think it's in your head, the product of the whatever weird soup all the competing substances have created, but everyone else hears it too. Chahut goes rigid beside you, her big vicious mouth stretched into an O of shock. Oh, she's actually freaked out of something. The congregation falls to its knees in a clattering wave. Seriously, you never heard a crowd of people go quiet so loudly. Chairs are kicked out of the way or knocked over. Kneeling down, Chahut's head comes up to your chest. She and the clown in the hat each push down one of your shoulders. Motherfucker, get down. You hit the deck. You half expect the blood spatters to seep through your dress, but it just crusts flaky and dry underneath your knees. You. Sister. That your alien? Where the hell is that voice coming from? It's deep and gravelly and probably male. Oh, hold up. What you initially thought was one of Remley's knockoff paintings hanging behind the altar turns out to be a screen, which now has turned into a gray silhouette with horns. Is everybody here bowing to some dude who literally Skyped into Clown Church and doesn't even have a user pic? Your Excellency. I wouldn't describe him as my alien exactly. A little too pathetic to really put much bother to. There's a murmur of agreement from the surrounding trolls. Dang, tough crowd. A long snort of breath crackles into static. Who are you to say who or what is pathetic? Chahut winces. You're all feckless wigglers without a bean in your think pans. All of the lowbloods in here look absolutely terrified, which is nothing new, but for once they aren't the only ones. Everyone here is afraid, the purple guys included. You, come closer, little heretic. Let me get a gander. Me? Who? What the fuck you mean, who, sister? The motherfucker I'm jabbing my point stump at. You and Chahut share a quick, nervous glance. Her throat bobs visibly. Sir, I think you got your webcam turned off. Oh, dang. Hold up. You hear a lot of rustling and swearing. All of you hang in awkward limbo of an old person struggling with technology. The screen flickers and you can just make out a pair of hulking shoulders. Sir, you've got the light behind you? Never mind the light, motherfucker. You, the homeless one in the rumpus robe. Come closer, child. Oh, you. Of course it's you. Being the main character is exhausting. You move closer to the altar, although you aren't actually sure where the camera is at. This guy is someone you would be able to tell that even if everyone in here wasn't bowing to him, his voice has a certain quality to it. That's close enough. I'm not trying to look up your sniff nub. Child, you got any notion as to who I fucking am? None, except that he's possibly important. It's always a real good time when important people get interested in your insignificant ass. I decide whose ass is insignificant in this house, you comprehend? Sure. Sir? Excellency? How long have you been rambling amongst my brethren? At least a couple weeks, no more than a month. How many are here with you? Just you, an alien invasion force of one, all just wandering the countryside. And still pulling in oxygen? Would have thought someone would pick their detention with you by now. Same. You got any muscle definition, Wiggler? You show him the gun show, as in you show him how very empty the weapon locker is. Too weak for the front lines, too ugly to fill a pail with. He laughs low and lecherous. Although your strut sticks ain't so bad. Oh, did a giant cloud just say you have a nice legs over troll FaceTime? You look at Chahut for help, but she's too busy checking out your games. Sober you might have been uncomfortable. Faygo drunk you is pretty zen about it. You're sure it's only a matter of time before you fuck an alien. If it's gotta be a big giant clown, well, so be it. Shooting high, aren't you? Now you just feel silly. You sure this guy that you aren't really after that kind of stuff. There's only one thing you really truly long for in this world. And what's that, child? Power, wealth, the right to keep living? Yikes. You realize that everyone in this goddamn church is looking at you, waiting for your answer. Chahut looks like she wants to grab your shoulders and shake you. Jeez, no pressure. Friendship, you tell him. He laughs long and hearty at that one. You weather it stoically. You, bigger and significantly more attractive motherfucker. Chahut comes to attention. What's your caste name, child? Maenad, Excellency. Caste name. So they don't say last name, they say caste name. Well, that's interesting. If I understand rightly, you're about to undergo the ordeals. Chahut nods. She looks a little seasick. You're not sure what the ordeals are, but everything about them sounds bad, including the name. Maybe get your shit shot with this one right here. They seem to have the strategy for surviving against all unreasonable odds and decency. You could probably use a friend like him. He jabs another big finger at you. And Wriggler. Yeah? Don't let me see your face again. The call disconnects and the screen goes blank. When you port yourself toward the front of the church, everyone scrambles to get out of your way. It's like the big clown's attention has conveyed some honorary status on you. Probably nobody will mess with you for about, half an hour at least. You aren't really going anywhere, you just need some fresh air before you pass out. Chahut moves your turn after. She looks nearly as winded as you feel. You ask her if she's mad at you, since that could be potentially dangerous to both your life and your burgeoning friendship. Mad? Why would I be mad? Because your inexplicably magnetic charm worked on both of my best girl and the figurehead of my church. You flush. The real question is, did it work on her? Chahut sighs. What the hell? Old motherfucker told me to listen to whatever it is you can teach. Right, he did. That basically makes the two of you friends by theocratic degree. Guess so. So, darling, teach me your ways. Well, first of all, you gotta fall down a lot. Victory? Almost certain that was the Grand High Blood. Like, Gamzee's ancestor. Pretty certain about that. Just saying. Okay, so... Classpect thoughts for Chahut. Jeez. She is really mellow and chill. Just sort of like floating the boat and like going wherever the breeze takes her kind of way. She's probably an heir. Like, that's the most thing like I could think of. Heirs are also known for like various like physical strength, like John, Equus, that kind of thing. So, Heir of Hope. That's what I'm feeling. That's really the only like thing I've got so far. She's not any kind of like knowledge. She's not really like ragey destruction. She's not really creation either. So that leaves kind of like manipulation, like application, relocation, but I'm not feeling knight, page, thief, or rogue for her either. There's nothing really going in that direction. And she doesn't feel like a witch. So it's kind of like process of elimination here. Heir honestly feels the most appropriate though. Like, stuff for heirs, like, they all have that kind of like strength associated with their aspect, as well as just raw physical strength. She's big, she's huge, she's loaded. She does seem like, I know like the whole faith thing can easily just be her aspect alone, but it's how she interacts with her faith. Never questions it, like, always like believes in it, trusts in it, and that kind of thing. Has total faith, like just go in the flow. She doesn't seem so very strict about rules or about her religion or other kind of that thing either. Just, again, going with the flow. Just moving wherever along takes her, very chill. So, heir is probably the most appropriate thing here. So, that's what I'm going for that. Yeah. Oh, before Classpect talk, sorry, past that. Just wanted to say this is my favorite damn FriendSim yet. Also, I'm thinking heir as well. Yeah. Would you ever think about updating the Classpect analysis post with the additional information we get from this game? Well, here's the thing. There's not that much to update. Like, the stuff that I have up so far, and maybe this is just me being all, like, proud of myself or whatever, but there's actually not much that needs to, like, have an addition made. Like, for stuff about time and space, that one I actually, like, realized a lot of things I got flipped, because the problem with time and space and Homestuck is they're so inextricably like associated with each other. It's really hard to tell which side of a coin each thing is on. So I was able to like sort that out from Hiveswap, getting a bit more detail and like giving actual definitions for the aspects themselves with the extended zodiac quiz. So that one I was able to sort out quite a bit. The other aspects didn't have that problem. Like, they were pretty clear about like what was on what side for like light versus void, or heart versus mind, that kind of thing. It was only space and time that was always circled together, like the red and green candy stripes there, so that was a bit stuff I thought was space ended up being time, stuff I thought was time ended up being space, so it got a bit switched up there. But as for the other aspects, for Rage and Hope, there's some things I could quantify for, but it's more just like, I feel like the extended Zodiac quiz gives a little bit more like extended detail on like stuff that was already in Homestuck. Like, there's not actually much that's like different between the two. And I know a lot of people on first reading the Hiveswap stuff thought it was like, oh man, this is so different than everything that was shown in Homestuck. It's like, not really though. Not really. So I suppose for like Hope and Rage, I could like just go over that and make sure that's like still like accurate. I know one thing that sticks out to me is that Rage as an aspect, as it's used in Homestuck, has always been about like sort of like lies and falsehoods and that kind of thing. But we have to remember that the only Rage players we had in Homestuck were destruction players. So if they were destroying Rage, they would be doing things that like aren't Rage, if that makes sense, right? So Hiveswap, the extended Zodiac, actually went over this and saying that Rage as an aspect actually hates lies and like hates falsehoods and all that, and they get really like jazzed about that and upset about that. So like Gamzee as destruction of Rage or Kurlos as destruction of Rage, they were both ended up being sort of manipulative, lying characters. So it's like, oh, okay, like now it gives me a bit more understanding of like how the destruction class interacts with the Rage aspects a bit more. They're still about lies and falsehoods, like they still kind of focus on it, but just in different ways. They could still absolutely like use that as a facet of Rage for their own purposes, especially if they have a destruction class or that kind of thing. And like you could do like the creation of truths versus the creation of falsehoods. Hope seems to be more delving into the side of delusions in Hiveswap versus like a holy truth kind of side. So there is some gray in areas, that kind of thing, but other than that, there's not really much I need to update in my current aspect post, which makes me kind of giddy, because like, I don't know, it's kind of like a yay, pat myself on the back, you know, I did good, I was accurate. A lot of people say that about my like aspect posts, actually, like the ones where I like actually go into detail about each specific class spec, kind of is pretty on the nose. That makes me feel good. Anyway, that's that. To recap quickly, Azdaja Knelax, Gemra, Sign of the Pilot. He's a Prince of Mind, is probably the most intended thing, and Prophet Dreamer. Chahut Maenad is Caprinius, the Sign of the Credulous, and she is almost certainly an Heir of Hope, also Prophet Dreamer. Feeling pretty strongly Heir of Hope for her. Okay, it's been fun. But that's, I think, all that is for today. I will upload these on YouTube later. If you're on YouTube, hello. But other than that, goodbye. Have a good day, guys.